So we want to get more analysis on this verdict now, since we're in this unprecedented place right now. I want to bring in our political experts on the Republican side, Tim Rosales on the Democratic side, Ed Emerson. Guys, thanks for giving us some time tonight. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, Tim, so I want to start with you. So we talked about the legal implications at the start of the show. I want to talk about this through the political lens. So given everything that's happened leading up to today, and as we move forward, what do you think the political implications? Is there any fallout for Donald Trump?
Well, what we know is Republicans are very tribal, right? Democrats are very tribal. These are people who have picked their tribe, right? I'm a Republican, I'm a Democrat. I don't think it's changed those people one iota. What we have, though, is a lot of Americans who are in the middle. And those Americans in the middle are getting a message right now. Some of them who may not have the best confidence in their government, may feel dissatisfied. Their economic situation may not be great. They may have experienced some disenfranchisement in some way. Right now, those folks are identifying a little bit with President Trump. They're saying, wow, this can happen to somebody at the highest level too. Somebody like him. That's like me, right? I feel like, our government is not treating me fairly. I don't feel like that I have the greatest faith in the world. Those individuals right now are swing voters that are going to move to Donald Trump's side or have the potential to move to Donald Trump's side. Then you've got some other ideological independents who they might be a little bit more ideologically to the left, and they may be going the other way. This absolutely, we've seen something like this happened before. It was about 24, 25 years ago with President Clinton, when Republicans went with the impeachment route, and Americans sympathized with President Clinton. Now it remains to be seen whether Americans in the mushy middle are going to sympathize with President Trump, and we'll see as that evolves over the next 5 or 6 months.
Yeah, and Ed, this is what I want to ask you too, because no matter if it's true or not, we're in this day and age of social media and 24-hour news where you get on TV and there's this, message that goes out there and folks consume it and they take it as fact. For instance, the former president coming out saying, this is a Biden conspiracy. He's doing this to me. We know that's not happening. President Biden didn't present these charges in Manhattan. But you say something like that, and folks see this as a, political leaning attack in a way. They believe, like Tim said, his base believes him. Should the Biden-Harris campaign made a statement at all? They've been quiet. Do you think that was the right move for the Biden-Harris campaign to make a statement on this verdict?
Absolutely. Let the guy dig his own hole and bury himself. I mean, he's a buffoon. He's just been convicted of 34 counts. He's been convicted of raping a woman and demeaning her and has to pay $100 million or whatever the cash out of that thing is. I mean, he potentially could go to jail. On July 11th, they could perp walk him across the street there from the courthouse, and he could spend some time in jail, maybe even get a ride to Rikers Island. Who knows? I think the wheels are off. I think this guy is absolutely, people are going to get exhausted by this. They're already tired of him and all the lies that he tells, and everything just is about unfairness. Everything is about the court system. Oh, poor me, that sort of thing. He had the most expensive legal counsel in the history of trials, I'm sure, and nothing. He wouldn't even take the stand himself to defend himself. Who does that? Someone who's guilty of a lot of things and 34 counts. He's got 3 more trials. This is not just some conspiracy. Joe Biden didn't come up with this. I mean, if he did, I'd be really impressed. But no, he didn't come up with this.
But Trump's voters believe he did.
Indicting.
Trump's voters believe he did. And there's, what did we see from the last election? Correct my numbers if I'm wrong, Tim. It was like 9 million people voted for Trump.
Yeah, we got about 5 million more than 100%.
And he just had one of the biggest rallies ever, in the Bronx.
In the Bronx, there was 350 people there, Tim.
With Bronx voters, just lined up for hours to go see him. I mean, this, again, the only example we have in this in modern American politics really is looking at kind of this, President Trump and then President Clinton back in the late 90s, where you had, President Clinton, who was accused of crimes, who had, committed perjury, had, done, things that were, almost got him removed from office. Similar, he was in office, Trump is out of office, but the Republicans overstepped there, and the American people sympathized with President Clinton, right? Because they related to it. They related to being disenfranchised. They related to a government that was, this government is not standing up for me, right?
Yeah,
and now they're seeing that embodied in President Trump.
I haven't been indicted, Tim. I mean, that's a Trump talking point, which is to drag Bill Clinton into the thing and hope it somehow diffuses. Convicted 34 for 34. The man is going to jail. He is bad news. He is going to bottom out.
We don't know if he's going to jail yet. The judge hasn't issued.
Yeah, we don't know that. But I mean,
he hasn't issued his ruling yet.
It is interesting. This is the same argument from the party that talks about disenfranchisement of people going into jail, this oppressive legal system, oppressive public safety, and now all of a sudden, this legal system works. Well, hey, it is just, it is fair. So all I'm saying,
it's funny,
all I'm saying is
Republicans don't give a damn about guys going to jail. Nobody cares.
All I'm saying is what the voters see and who they identify with. Voters are tribal, okay? And it's really about who do they identify with. And right now, we do know, objectively, that voter trust in the American government and in politics and elections and all of that is not super high. And so we'll see where they go in terms of siding with President Trump and the arguments he's making, or siding with kind of the establishment arguments made by Alvin Bragg and Biden and the rest.
Okay,
I'll see you in November. We're going to stomp you like a grape. For God's sake.
I'm going to give you the final word here. What do you think Democrats need to do after this? Okay, so we have this verdict. We're going to await sentencing. We have a debate coming up June 27th. Then we have the sentencing, and then we have the Republican convention, and we should be learning former President Trump's VP pick. So a lot's going to happen in the next couple of weeks. What do you think Democrats need to do? Do you think that they need to continue messaging on this court situation, or do you move past that and focus on the kitchen table issues? Because I kind of have a feeling I know what you're going to say when I bring up his name. But a former Clinton. Mr. Carville, someone you know well, he went on a rant on social media the other night saying that Democrats are not talking to voters. So does this Democratic Party, as we move closer to November, do they need to focus on the messaging here and not on this Trump trial?
I hate to kick James Carville, but he told me in 2016 we were going to win Florida. So his advice and his prognostications have not been so solid. No, this is it. Democrats need to go back to work. We need to go back picking up. We've done really well in these congressional races around the country, state Senate races. We've picked up governorships. The big deal in the 6 contested states, Nevada, New Mexico, Arizona, Pennsylvania, they have Democratic governors. We didn't have that 4 years ago, or all of them 4 years ago. So I think the idea is to get out there and get the message out. This guy is no one believes him, and then at some point the bottom's going to drop out, and he's going to be pulled off of the ticket.
Wow. Okay, so I've been interviewing you guys for almost 8 years now, and that was the most fiery discussion we've ever had. Wow, it must be the new. It must be the new haircut, Ed. It's got to be the new haircut.
I think it's a shirt. Well, I was going to put the shirt. It's red with little flowers.
Yeah.
If it was blue and wavy like this, it'd be a little bit better, but fiery.
Always love the conversation. Tim Rosales, Ed Emerson.
Thank you, Nikki.
Appreciate it, guys. Thanks so much.